Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello everyone. Now we will start a new topic, which is chute feed or flock feed system, or we call it aerofeed system, and its mechanics and how it controls the fiber movement. So, we will see the different machine setup and how to control this fiber flow. Okay. This is the different layouts of the aerofeed system or chute feed system. What is that chute feed system? Basically, in the blow room, from the blow room earlier days we used to carry the lap and feed to the carding machine. Nowadays, its lap system is not there. Directly from the blow room, the fibers are getting transported through different lines, air ducts, and this air duct carries the fibers, opened fiber, and supply to the individual cards. Now, during this movement, fiber movement, it is very important to control the fiber movement, so that uniformly the fibers are being supplied to all the cards in that line. Now, it should not happen that the suppose the fiber is coming from one side, suppose in this side fiber is coming to the it is transported from the this side to other side. So, it should not happen this card, this is the carding machine, suppose this card is actually getting fed properly, but at the end, towards the end, fibers are not reaching. So, that will actually produce uneven carding process. So, that is why it is very important to distribute the card and distribute the fiber and the control movements. If we have to see the fiber flow where the fibers are actually filled. So, that has to be stopped automatically or reduced automatically, and the next process the fiber should go to the next and next process. So, that the fiber the flow can get accelerated, so that it reaches to the end of the line. So, that control system is also important. Now, flock feeder, if you see here, this is the typical line of a flock feeder. This is a side view, and this is, if you see the top view of this. Now, here if this is a flock feeder which actually feeds the fiber. After the opening line in a blow room is completed, the fibers are become opened in the open state that we have discussed. Now, it goes to the flock feeder, which actually feeds the fiber opened fiber to individual card, and this it is not that the fibers are fed directly at the through the individual card in a straight fashion, but it goes through a uniform in a single channel and through the air suction, and in this way it flows. So, like that you can see here, suppose this is the flock feeder and here is a fan pushes the fiber along with the air, and it should be in the system should be such that the fiber should also come here and some and here in this card and in the next card uniformly. It should not happen as it is coming from this side, left side, the first card is getting fed, but second and third, fourth cards are not getting fed uniformly. So, that is important, and the function here is that it is a flock feeders function. So, here we will see their control system. This is the photograph of duct of flock feeding. you can see the fibers actually move through this duct, okay. And there are control system, so that the fibers are fed properly at different carding machines. Now, if you see the overview here of a flock feeder, this is the central unit, okay, central unit, and from where the fibers are getting distributed. So, here from the fibers are getting distributed. So, here the from the central unit the fibers are coming into 2 rows, okay, but it can be a number of rows. So, and from here the feeding mechanism is there, feeding machines are there. So, central unit and it is fibers are coming, and then the feeding systems are there. Here actually fans are there, and fan and differential pressure switches are there. So, this is the differential pressure switch, and here it is a flock feeder. So, feeding machine is there which supplies the fiber, then flock feeder actually feeds the fibers to different carding machine. Now, here through the flock feeder the fibers actually the through the fan it generates the pressure, air pressure. Here it differential pressure switch is there, required air pressure is generated by the fan. So, and this flock feeder, through flock feeder when fibers are coming, fibers are fed, and then the air stream carries the fiber, okay, carries the fiber, and excess air is coming out through the exhaust fan. Exhaust air is coming, and exhaust air which carries the dust particle and all this, okay. So, that dust particles are removed in the from the air stream, and the fibers are deposited in the card. These are the individual carding machines, okay. And this line, so this is the first carding and this is a nth carding. So, they should be fed uniformly. Similarly, for other direction, and whatever after feeding the air should get circulated, return air comes. So, exhaust air is there which is actually taking away the dust particle, and also return air is coming and again it is getting circulated, okay. So, it carries the fiber along with it. So, acceleration flap and separating flap. So, acceleration flap and separating flaps are placed in the process, okay, separating it of the feed duct. In the feed duct the accelerating flap and separating flaps are placed, okay, which is in the separating head of the feed duct. Now, you can see here this is the process. Here the fibers are fed and the flock feed, the opening action is there little bit, and from there the fibers are opening action. Here the through the fan the fibers are coming here. You can see this is the fiber fed through the duct, okay. This is the air duct, okay, and fibers are coming and required fibers are coming in the this carding, and remaining fibers are going to the next machine. So, there are two types of feeding machine, one is single feed machine, another is double feed machine. Now, this is the single feed machine and it is accelerating flap of the reservoir. So, fibers are fed here through this left side. Now, you can see fibers are coming along with the air. Now, if we want to accelerate the fiber motion, so the air pressure has to be increased. Air pressure can be increased by reducing the gap. So, if we turn it in this direction, upper direction, so this flap will be closer here and the fibers get accelerated to the feed reservoir or feed duct or reservoir. So, fiber it is accelerated in that fashion by changing the setting of the flap, accelerating flap. You can see here the feeding machine, feed duct and your accelerating flap. So, at the end, towards the end, if we want to keep the fiber flow, okay, because otherwise pressure will reduce. To keep the pressure intact, so we are using the accelerating flap. So, this is the suppose machine 1, 2 it does not need, machine 3 needs, machine 4 suppose there is another machine here where accelerating flaps direction will be little bit above that. So, the gap should be less, so that it gets accelerated. In this way the fiber transportation continues. Okay. Now, double feed system, we have discussed the single feed system. Now, double feed system. Double feed system is important because in the single feed system long line, in a carding machine, carding line if you see is there are number of carding machines are there, maybe 20, 30 carding machines are there in a single line. In that case, if we actually have a single feed, then problem would be that in the last section the pressure may not be that much adequate, even if after the acceleration. Now, for that what we do, we actually use the double feed system. Here this is the feed 1, feeding machine 1 and feeding machine 2, and feeding machine 1 it feeds machine 5, 6, 7, these 3 machines it is feeding, and feeding machine 1 it feeds 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. Okay. So, that way you can manage all the 7 cards. Okay. So, but if instead of this if we use a single feeding machine, then the distribution may not be uniform. Now, here you can see as we are our target is to feed by the machine 2 up to the 4th. Okay, 4th. So, we must stop the fiber flow from the machine 1, feeding machine 1 up to the 4th, after the 4th. So, after the 4th we have to miss. So, what we are doing? We are actually this is the separating flap, which closes the flap side, and similarly for machine 1, feeding machine 1 we are trying to close it up to the 5th. We do not want this fiber to go into 4th, unnecessary disturb. So, that way. Now, why do you use flap? People may ask, you may ask that we can give the blockage. We cannot give blockage because tomorrow we may decide the machine 1 will feed 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7. In that case, so this type of acceleration flap and the stoppage flap are present in almost all the unit. Okay. So, here this is the accelerating flap. Accelerating flap means that you are not closing the thing totally. Okay. So, here you can say this is the you are blocking. So, it is blocks and here it is accelerating. So, you are just reducing the size. So, the same flap it can be used as accelerating flap and also is the separation flap, okay, depending on the setting. Now, this is the flock feeder. The from the feeding machine it is coming, the suction cage is there, okay. Suction cage which will hold the fiber, and the some dust it will actually take out, and excess material return, okay, it is coming back again. So, here after that it is feeding here, and so sawtooth beater is there, and after beating the fiber is going to the feed duct. So, excess material, what is happening with the excess material? So, here this is there. So, some excess material will be there during the transport. So, that will come back again to the flock feeder. Now, feeding of individual cards, okay, the Ritter single reservoir. So, this is the this will be actually feeding in the single card, individual cards feeding. Now, you can see this is the separating head, okay, feed duct, exhaust air housing, perforated plate. Here it is there is no cage, here it is a perforated plate is there. So, and air coming space. So, it should not get actually the air should not be actually turbulent. Okay. Now, this is a feed roller, feed system, opening is there, and here two are photo cells are there. Okay. Then it is a in the feed on the feed roll, it is directly coming to the feed roll. This system is there for individual carding machine. Okay. Now, in individual carding machine, now your P1 is the P1 is interrupted feed roller system. So, this is the feed P1 interrupted. When P1 interrupted, that means the during feeding, if the feed is there, it is interrupted, then feed rollers off. That means you have sufficient material is there. When this height is there, so the photocell is getting interrupted, upper photocell is interrupted, that means you have sufficient material in that section. So, what you do? You stop the feed roller, do not feed. So, that means you have sufficient material is there. When P2 is interrupted, feed roller becomes slow, that means you have material is there, sufficient material is there, but it is not too much. So, you reduce the feed roll speed, so that material becomes little bit lower feed is there, and no interruption, that means when there is material is low, there is no interruption on the photo cells, that means the feed roller will go move at high speed, that means proper feeding will continue in the card. So, it actually this feeding in system of individual card, it ensures that individual card is getting uniform feeding, okay. And double reservoir in Trussler they are come up with the double reservoir. So, that it ensures flow of material, okay. But here we have double reservoir, this is one reservoir, another reservoir is here. So, in Ritter it was a single reservoir with the photocell, but here double reservoir with the electronic pressure regulator. So, this is a reserve bin, one reserve bin is there, here this is another reserve bin is here. So, feed roller, opening roller is there after feeding. So, this is the opening roller, and here you can see electronic pressure switch. Electronic pressure switch actually here it is a control, it is a controller which actually controls the feed. Now, how to adjust? So, you can see here this is spring is loaded, now either with the piston. This is the material flow adjustment, as I have shown, the material flows through this system along with the air. So, material flow will be reduced if we close it, but the close it will be, you can reduce Now, exhaust air coming space. So, but you can change this direct setting to control the material flow. Now, if the exhaust air is not allowed to go out, the back pressure builds up. So, this is the exhaust air you have to allow. So, that otherwise, so this is coming out. So, here again exhaust flap is there. Earlier we saw the feeding flap or accelerating flap, this is the exhaust flap. Exhaust flap has to go, exhaust air has to go out, otherwise there will be the pressure build up in that area, and if pressure builds up, then the material flow will get disturbed. Now, the differential pressure switch monitors this. Now, example, if you see, for proper functioning of the system and filling of successive reservoir, x1 and x2, this is the distance x1 distance x1 and x2 for the first and second reservoir is 50 mm, and x3 to x6 60 mm, x3 and x8 70 mm. This is the standard is there, so that you can control the exhaust air flow. If the last reservoir is not getting filled up, then more air is escaping through the preceding reservoir. So, we have to control the pressure also. In this case, the closing power of the preceding reservoir should be increased. So, that we can control the exhaust air pressure. So, dopper on, the piston rod retracts. So, if you want to this is move the air. So, this piston rod it retracts, exhaust air flap opens up, okay, and pressure drop in the feed duct. So, if you can increase the exhaust air flow, that means you can reduce the pressure drop. So, we can control the pressure drop. If the pressure is less than the set value of the differential pressure switch, then feeding machine start feed. So, that it is controlled by the pressure drop, and dopper on means piston close the flap, it is that is piston close the flap, exhaust air is not allowed to go out and pressure is built up in the system. So, that is all about the flock feeding system and how to control the system. So, if the pressure is greater than the set value in the differential pressure switch, then feeding machine stop. So, that the system is there, that switch on and switch off. Thank you. So, in the next session we will come up with the new topic on blow room only. Thank you.